You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to the lap of extra mile for today, November the 2nd, 2023. While NASCAR is getting ready to decide a champion, Checo Perez might want to update his resume because he needs to start looking for a new job. WEC is about to end their season and so much more. And to help me talk about it, of course, is my co-host, Michael Ward. Michael?
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing great, especially because I got some good news. You already know about it. Some personal stuff I'm not going to get into. But if you are listening on the live chat right now, make sure to get your comments in. We will read them as this show goes on. And Michael, it just feels like yesterday we were getting the season started in January. And now here we are on the eve of the end of another incredible extra mile season.
Yes, it's been a great season, a lot of great racing, a lot of good series, a lot of drama. It's good to put it in the books, but I think it's even better to know that we'll be doing this next year. So.
Yep, and Taryn just joined us in the chat, said, have a great show, gentlemen. Sunday must be for all the marbles. Am I right? Yes, it is. We are going for the championship on Sunday after things wrapped up in Martinsville with Ryan Blaney winning his way into the championship 4. But Michael, once again, Denny Hamlin has failed.
Yeah, he's failed to win a championship, and I really feel like his career is going to be one of those, like, he's got a lot of wins. He's came close a lot of times, but just never got a championship.
He is getting to the point where he is never going to beat the Mark Martin allegations.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what people call him, is this generation's Mark Martin. He has won Daytona 500s. He's won All-Star races. He's done all these things in NASCAR. Sorry about that. He's done all these great things, but he can never get over the championship hump for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, we just got to think about what happened this race. I mean, I'm not going to say he had it in the bag, but, he had it. We had it, and then, green flag pit stops happened, and then he got shuffled back in a track where I'm not going to say it's hard to pass, but it was pretty difficult to, make your way up to the front, and that's what happened.
He ended up third, but he needed to win that race if he was going to go on to the championship, and which is just...
I think another driver I feel more sorry about is Martin Truex.
Truex, I think, had the worst performance by a 1 seed in these playoffs, or in this iteration of the playoffs.
And it's crazy because he's the regular season champion, isn't he?
Yeah. Every race he had in the playoffs was a bad one.
Yeah.
I cannot think of one race where he was on his regular season consistency form. Everything that could have gone wrong with these playoffs did. And it's a miracle he got this far.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I think this is like the 3rd year in a row where the regular season champion doesn't win the championship.
It's hard to win the championship in playoffs like this.
Yeah.
Like, it's 10 races, 16 guys with the reset. Every time, if you don't have 10 perfect races, you're going to get snubbed. And the last number 1 seeds got snubbed. I don't really know what you do. You don't change the system because you've already messed with it as much as it is. They're not going back to a full season championship because TV isn't going to let them. So you're at what you're at, unfortunately.
Yep.
So if you're the regular season champion, you're going to have to fight. Honestly, it's fun because all 36 races matter. 26 races set the start of the race or the start of the playoffs. 10 obviously go to the end of it, but all of them matter. You can say, well, the first 26 didn't matter for Truex. Yes, they did. Because if he didn't have a great regular season, he would have been out in the first round. Those playoff points helped Truex a bunch. The problem is he couldn't get out of his own way. And now he's
playoff
out.
points, stage points.
Yep. We know he's great at getting them stage points. And on the other side of, we talk about Truex. It was a bad day. It was just a bad or mixed playoffs for Joe Gibbs Racing because Hamlin was awful in the last race. Truex was awful the entire time, but Christopher Bell finished 7th for the second straight year. Michael, he's fighting for a championship.
Yep, he's going for it again. Somehow he made it in there. Oh, man.
What's your optimism level for old Christopher Bell this weekend?
I don't know, man. He's going up against Larson, who's been doing this. He's done this before. You got William Byron, who manages to somehow squeeze wins.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Ryan Blaney, who this is the most competitive I have ever seen that man. So he's got a chance. He just has to deliver. He has to deliver it.
Ryan Blaney is really good at Phoenix. So he's in this championship 4. And I remember posting once the race was over that this is the first championship 4 where you really don't have a favorite, but as a few days have passed and we're getting closer to Sunday, I think Ryan Blaney is your odds-on favorite just because he's so good here.
Yeah, he's very good here. He could get it done.
I think it would be so cool for him to get it done. I did post on Twitter, I don't know if he saw it, but if he does win this championship, Blaney and Bubba have to remake the Teach Me How to Dougie video back from their Truck Series days. That was so hilarious. They need to redo it anyway, but they have to redo it if they win the championship, and that's if they're sober after that. Because I imagine Bubba and Blaney are going to do a lot of drinking if he wins the championship on Sunday.
Oh, I imagine so.
And on the other side, going into the championship 4, we got Kyle Larson, who finished 6th, and William Byron, who had his worst race probably of the year. He finished 13th. That's probably higher than he deserved, because he was as low as the 20s at one point. Byron has the most wins, but I think he's had like the least impressive 6-win season that we've had in recent memory. And Larson, he's been up and down this year. He's shown you streaks of the 2021 Larson, and then he's struggled at times this season. I don't think they have the consistency to get it done on Sunday.
Yeah,
but it would be a shock if Byron wins.
We always say that, but then here comes Byron sneaking his way up to a win.
It would be such a 2023 season for Byron to sneak the championship. To just be nowhere all day. All of a sudden there's a late race caution. Wait, how's the 24 in row 2? And then he ends up winning the race. Because that's how he's won most of his races. But I don't think he's going to have that opportunity, especially with the championship 4 cars basically going to be cheated up for this weekend, as the conspiracy theories go. That those cars get a little bit of extra during the championship weekend. I don't know how true that is, but or it might just be that because everybody brings their best cars to this weekend, that they're all so much better than everybody else. Yeah. But it will be a fun race to watch. You know, it's the championship. Sadly, I will not be watching it. I will be in Budds Creek with Southern Maryland News for the Haltech World Cup Finals, but I'll be keeping up with it on my phone. But Sunday, we're going to decide a champion, Michael, looking back, this was a season of twists and turns.
Yeah, it was a very big twisted turning season.
We had some great races. We had the surprise in Chicago with the rain, or not really rain, it was the monsoon. The NASCAR season gave everything that it could. And we're going to enjoy it. Unfortunately, we lost Auto Club officially. The teardown has begun. I am so sad that track is gone. But we're going to talk about all of this next week, including who wins the championship when we wrap up the racing season next year. But to give a little preview of that, Michael, I'm going to ask you, well, actually, we'll talk about the playoffs now as we're going to the championship 4. Other than Truex, who was your biggest disappointment of the playoffs?
Who was my biggest disappointment of the playoffs?
Yes.
I would say Chase, honestly. Chase just not making it in general.
That counts. Because I think we all thought he was going to make it.
Yeah, and then I guess the other one would be I thought Buescher would make it into the Final Four, but he didn't.
I swear to God, you were reading my mind because Buescher was right there on my list. I'm like, we said it. He was the dark horse to win the championship. He got to the final 8, and they just didn't show up.
Yeah, you know what else was a disappointment?
Who?
Reddick I thought Reddick would have made it too.
No, I didn't have Reddick going that far.
I felt like Reddick could have made it. But yeah, it's also JGR. Just they usually get 2 cars in there, and this year they only got 1.
I think JGR is the biggest.
It's not the biggest, but it's definitely a disappointment.
Well, I think at a team level, they were the biggest disappointment because they didn't show up in the second half of these playoffs.
You can't really say they're a disappointment because they did get there technically.
Well, they got there with 1 car, but we're used to them having 2 cars minimum.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about a lot of this next week when we get into the championship or into reviewing the 2023 championship and the 2023 racing season in general as the extra mile will say goodbye for the year next week. We do not continue on with the Formula One season because it is not competitive enough for us to continue with. So we will let it go for now. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into Formula One and Checo Perez. Time to update that resume. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We're back here in the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It's the penultimate episode for 2023 of the Extra Mile with Daryl and Michael here with you this evening. And folks, it's time to say goodbye to Checo Perez's Formula One career in Red Bull, because after the Mexican Grand Prix, he's done. Checo tried to make an overambitious move on the outside and ended up destroying his car after Leclerc, as he turned in on Leclerc, got the rear of the car high into the air, and obviously from the damage he could not continue. And Michael and I were talking during the break about this, and we kind of had a little bit of a disagreement. We'll bring it here. I think he's washed. What?
I don't think he's washed. I think he's just been given equipment he can't necessarily work with.
I think he's washed. And
I know what you're thinking.
Right.
It's like, well, he has the Red Bull RB19. He has the fastest car on the grid. And I'm like, does he really? Because I feel like they would save that car for Max and get him, what's left. And then also, Red Bull has the tendency to not really listen to the second driver. So
and
if
that
you have
is
a
what
car that, I'm sorry to cut you off, if you have a car that's not suitable for your driving style, like what happened to Gasly, like what happened to Albon, you're not going to perform as well as you want to.
Well, that's why I say he's washed, because his confidence is absolutely gone, which is what happens to every single Red Bull number 2 driver that gets over there, especially now in the Max Verstappen era. They don't listen to them when they design the car. It's all designed towards Max. So that driver begins to struggle. Helmut Marko then gets it from a microphone and just destroys their confidence every chance he gets. The driver starts getting into their own head, making mistakes, and that's where we are now.
Yeah, that's why I say I say on here, I cannot actively like Red Bull because it's so one-sided.
The problem with Red Bull,
very one-sided, and I just don't like it. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
The problem with Red Bull, for me and probably for you too, is that Max is actually a likable person. Like, if you ever watch his streams and his TikToks and crap, Max is actually a down-to-earth person, but literally everyone surrounding him on that team gives such smarmy prick energy that you cannot like them on principle.
Yeah.
Apparently, it is raining in Bahrain.
I mean, it happens.
They had a wet practice today. Bahrain is in the desert. We'll talk about WC in a bit, but I'm looking at Facebook here, and Autosport posted some hypercars in the rain in the desert, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it can rain in the desert, man.
Yeah.
You remember not a couple years ago, but I think it was way back in 2009. It rained before the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yep. That's going to be like the only rain really left for the weekend, as predictably there's 0 degrees.
Like if it rains in the desert, you're just going to be mad confused.
Yep. But back to Checo being washed, or Checo's career being over. The entire apparatus around Red Bull just makes you hate it.
Yeah, it's not a team I could fundamentally like. And if somebody's telling you, well, actually, I don't know, that's a hot take, but I feel like if somebody says, "Oh yeah, I like Red Bull," and I'm like, "Well, do you like the team or do you like just Max Verstappen?"
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're not set up to be a 2-car effort. They're set up to be a 1-car effort and just some guy in the other seat because they're required to have another car.
Actually, you want to know a hot take?
What?
If it wasn't for all the blunders and the bad tire wear, I think Ferrari has the best driver pairing.
You're probably right because they're the most consistent together, but the problem is Ferrari, the pit wall gets in their way.
Yeah,
And
but what I was gonna say is like if you take away the pit wall and make them competent and take away the Ferrari tire wear, I think you have the most competitive driver pairing on the grid. Besides, and the next one I would put in that category would be McLaren. I think the McLaren driver pairing is very competitive.
yeah. I would say Mercedes should be on that list, but the problem is Russell over there. He is not a team player, and that has caused them some issues.
Well, neither is Sites in my opinion, but I would like to say like that they're both able to run with each other rather than one driver would be better than the other. They're actually kind of competitive.
It's troubling, but that was the big news out of that race, which was just the demolition of Checo's career and also the double DNF by Aston Martin. They have tanked in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and Alonso apparently he's like frustrated with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing: we know how Alonso gets when he's angry.
I mean, he's a 2-time world champion. He doesn't have to hold back, honestly, and he never has.
No. And if they don't get that car fixed, it's not going to be fun for Aston Martin because Alonso will let them hear about it.
If he will, they'll be trying to get another driver in that seat.
Well, they will probably be getting one when Honda comes in. Although there's a rumor going around when it comes to Aston Martin that they've been sold to Saudi Arabia. Although no one has confirmed that, so weird little bit of news going on. Going around with the rumors that Lawrence Stroll, father of Lance, might be deciding to sell the team. But who knows? There's always something going on with Aston Martin right now.
Yep, and I was talking to you about this, but during the Mexican Grand Prix, there was like a fan who like attacked the Ferrari fan for the crash, and then it like led into this whole thing about Perez's fans are going to start fighting Ferrari fans after the race. And I said this on Twitter, and I'm gonna ask you: do you think Formula One has kind of entered this era of just toxicity?
Yes, because all sports have, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like Formula One and a lot of these sports have just gotten really toxic.
Yeah, and some people would blame, Drive to Survive. I don't blame Drive to Survive. It's just how social media is. Yeah. Rage drives engagement, and that's why people act the way they do.
Yeah. It's just...
Which is unfortunate, and hopefully we do not see any more of those incidents going forward. Now, we do have the Brazilian Grand Prix coming up, which is Mercedes' chance to end the indomitable streak of Red Bull winning all the races. But we are sitting here...
Hey, they lost one.
When?
Singapore.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Good Lord. It's been so long since then.
Yes. The only team that managed to get a win this year is the team everybody takes a dump on. So
somehow.
Just putting that out there.
Yep. So I'm sorry about that. So trying to take their second L of the season, but Felipe Massa will not be there. He is currently suing Formula One for... I'm not sure what he's trying to sue him for because he keeps changing every time you hear it. Either to overturn the 2007 championship or get monetary damages from the 2007 championship.
You want to know something?
Mm-hmm.
In the press conference today, they asked about that to the drivers, and everybody was like, yeah, like they asked Lewis about that, and Lewis just had no comment.
Well, what's Lewis supposed to say? He had nothing to do with what happened.
Yeah, he really didn't. He just,
what happened there happened so far from when the championship was ended.
If anyone, you should sue Ferrari.
Yeah, they're the ones that messed up the fueling stop.
Refuel the car. What else is there to talk about? If Leclerc gets into the pole, I'm going to be surprised.
Yeah,
I don't know. Ever since he took off those red pants, man, I don't know. He's been getting the pole somehow.
Yep. Set a good pole streak going. At least they're going to end the season on something good. But we do have the Brazilian Grand Prix this week, and we're not going to have Nelson Piquet there because he said racist things about Lewis Hamilton. Massa's not going to be there because he's suing. I don't know what it is about Brazilians and having issues with things regarding Lewis Hamilton, but it's weird.
Well, they named him an honorary citizen.
The country and the fans like him, but apparently the two drivers from F1 really don't.
Well, one is very salty and one's an idiot, so.
Yeah. We'll let you figure out which one is which. Meanwhile, we're going to take another break. When we come back, WEC is heading to Bahrain to end the season. We're going to talk a little bit of sports car racing here. We'll be right back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey folks, you're going to want to join us on the Saturday Night Hydroplane Facebook on Saturday as Division II heads to Gunnerville for the Dixie Cup after an incredible race on virtual Detroit. We head to the South's fastest water for 3 flights of incredible unlimited hydroplane racing. Make sure you join us 6:30 p.m. Eastern on the Saturday Night Hydroplane League Facebook page where you can watch every race live as it happens, called by yours truly, the voice of the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. So we're back here, the Extra Mile, your direct feed for all that is sports. It's the Extra Mile, Daryl, Extra Mile IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Daryl and Michael here with you this evening. WEC coming up this weekend. Michael, the 8 hours of Bahrain will wrap up the season for the World Endurance Championship in a year that I think lived up to our expectations. We knew that Toyota would pretty much dominate the season as they were the longest running hypercar, but a lot of the cars show promise going into 2024.
A lot of these cars really do show promise. And, it's still been a fun season. It's still been a very fun season. Le Mans was one of the best races I've ever seen in my life. Spa was great. Lots of drama. Toyota completely annihilating Ferrari at Fuji.
I think we knew that was coming.
It was coming. They were going to get their revenge. But, all these teams show promise. The Ferrari showed promise. Ferrari actually doing better than their F1 counterpart is hilarious.
Ferrari got to see what a competent Ferrari looks like.
Yeah, Leclerc was sitting there celebrating at Le Mans like, man, is this what being competent looks like? The Cadillacs, I love the Cadillacs. Like I said, the Cadillac is one of my favorite race cars of all time. So much so that I'm actually trying to get a model of it, actually.
I think those went on sale recently. They are really fun looking.
Yeah, I found a 1/18th scale model of the number 3 Cadillac, and I think I'm going to get it soon.
Nice.
Yeah. You can tell you're a fan of something if you get a model of it, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting that car. It's definitely, like I said, it's one of my favorite cars of all time.
Yes.
This season was really good, but I think next season is going to be even better. We have so many new teams coming over. We have BMW, we have Lamborghini, right?
We have BMW, we have Lamborghini, we have Alfa Romeo, we have another Italian team whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce.
And Aston Martin, right?
Yes. No, 2025.
And even though it's still exciting to have all these new teams, and it just kind of all these new teams and all these manufacturers, and it just kind of makes me wish, that Formula One. I hate to compare it to Formula One, but it just kind of makes me wish Formula One was not as expensive to get into, so that we can have these manufacturers here. So, so that we can have Lamborghini. Because if you remember, Lamborghini was actually talking about that the cars were, if getting into Formula One was cheaper, then they would do it. And then it doesn't become cheaper. So they went to hypercar where it is cheaper.
Well, the problem with Formula One, as we've already seen, is they only care about the money. They don't. Yeah. It's hard to see they even care about the sport anymore. Because you see the fighting right now with Andretti, and whether they're going to let them in, to the point that Andretti went on motorsport.com, had an interview and basically said that the folks in Formula One see them like a bunch of hillbillies, and that's why things haven't gone as smoothly as they should have, which this deal should have been done already.
It should have been. And they make it so hard just to get into Formula One. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of these manufacturers are just like, well, no, I don't really want to get into Formula One.
Formula
One do hypercar.
Formula One and baseball have the same problem, where, and we'll get back to WEC in a minute, where their biggest impediment to success is the sanctioning bodies. The problem with baseball is you have a bunch of owners that hate the sport. It's the only way to explain it, for the way they act towards their players and the fans in general. And then you have Formula One, where they like the fans, but no, they like the money, but it's hard to know if they like the fans.
Yeah, and it's just so in a weird spot. And, and we have all these other sports where the racing is good, like IndyCar, WEC, IMSA, where the
Hmm.
racing is legitimately good. And Daryl, I don't think these sports get enough love. You know what I mean?
They don't, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of good racing. Next year I'm going to try to watch a lot more of the GT racing than I did.
Yeah, that's my plan too. I didn't even know that DTM went to GT3 cars.
Yeah, they've been that way a year, for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I thought they were still, making their own kind of car, but yeah, it just shows how out of it we are because we kind of focus on the mainstream.
Supposedly they were supposed to do a joint deal with, I think, V8 Super. It was either V8 Supercars or what was then the Pirelli Challenge over here, and that fell through. So they went to GT3 cars.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good racing, um, and I just feel like you have to broaden your horizons. Also, I didn't mention this to you. I keep forgetting to mention this, but Lexus is coming to Europe.
Oh yeah, they are coming as Toyota's representative in GT next year, or
Yep.
whatever they're
So
going to be
now
calling it, Le Mans GT3.
we have Lexus and GT3, and I think that's exciting.
Yeah, they're supposed to be testing the enhanced bodywork over the off season, as the LMGT3s will be getting their own little look and feel as we start the next season. Priority obviously is being given to the hypercar classes. That should mean that we will get a couple of Corvettes, since that would be the GM bridge for Cadillac, as Toyota is running Lexus in GT3. So that should get us 2 Corvettes in LMGT3 and WEC to represent Chevy/GM back there.
Yeah, that would be great to have. That would be great.
Yeah. And then we'll have our Porsches and our Ferraris, and they'll fill it in after that, because those are at that point, that'd be the end of all the customers, or all the manufacturer cars. So we have Toyota, Ferrari, Porsche, Cadillac. That's 8. And then they got to get.
What about BMW?
I think they would count, since they're joining the grid next year. So we might get 2 BMWs, and that's 4 more spots they have to fill after that. What I will say are the WEC field's going to be really full next year, and
It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
it really is, because there's other motorsports that are struggling to get cars, and they're going to start turning cars away at some point. But
Yep.
hey, good on the WEC. The one thing I will say, though, I'm going to miss GTE.
Oh yeah, I am too.
That was a fun category. Of course, I'm going to miss it because Corvette was so good in it, but Corvette's going to be able to race with a bunch of other folks now with these now with the GT3 bodies they got, and it's going to be incredible to see them once again in international competition and here in a lot more races. So Bahrain will end the season. A lot of the championships, Toyota realistically is going to win in hypercar. The GTE AM championship is locked up. LMP2 though and hypercar still have mathematical battles going on. You can watch that race this weekend on Motor Trend on demand. But we're going to take another break, come back with Nearest the Win, and get ready to close out. We'll be right back here on Extra Mile Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the '08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hello, folks. We're back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports for the Extra Mile. I'm Darrell Kinsey Jr. Michael Ward is with me. It's time for Nearest the Win. Last picks of the season. Michael, we have Detroit. We have Phoenix. We have Brazil. Who you got?
Phoenix. I gotta go with Christopher Bell.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gets it done. Las Vegas. It just shows how done I am with the season. Brazil, I'm gonna go with Alex Albon to get a good result. And that's it, right?
Yep, I am going to go with, let's see, I'm going to go with Lando Norris to get a good result at the Brazilian Grand Prix. And I believe Ryan Blaney is going to win the race and win the championship. This is his house. He's coming on at the right time. It is time for Ryan Blaney to be a NASCAR Cup Series champion. So that is it. Next week, November the 9th, we end the NASCAR, or we end not only the NASCAR season, but the Extra Mile season. Join us for our season in review show. We will give our thoughts on all the motorsports that we covered this year and give you our thoughts on what 2024 is going to look like. You're going to want to join us here on the Extra Mile. And hey, if you missed any of shows that we've ever done, make sure to listen to them wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube Repository, which has a copy of every episode we've ever done. And remember, I'm at DK Jr. 12. Michael is at Michael_Wart25. And keep it locked to our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And make sure to keep it locked to the IE Sports Radio pages as well. And if And don't forget as well to check out iesportsradio.com. Listen to all the episodes. Check out the show profiles of all your hosts. Get some merch and maybe even some beef jerky as well. And help support IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So that'll wrap it for this edition of the Extra Mile. For Michael, I'm Daryl. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.